Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live. Joining me as usual is Aaron William Freeland. Everything happens in 3 words here, it seems.
How are you going? How's it going, Frank?
Okay.
Yeah.
We did a show this afternoon, an open forum with a young lady named Mac London out of Calgary, originally from Poland, stopped in Toronto, ended up in Calgary, and she's an entrepreneur. She does all kinds of stuff. Really interesting. I suggest watching it. It was a good interview. It was fun. A little change of pace for what I'm accustomed to. This is a change of pace too, except I do it 3 times a week with you. So I guess it isn't change of pace. It's the so-called ho hum part of the week. I know exactly what's going to happen here, and Aaron just does what he does, and I just sit here and go along for the ride. That's about it. It is something that of course we always talk about. You know, there's some big stories. We'll get to them, but as we do, I like to start with the Canadian Football League. So let's talk about the Canadian Football League, and we'll start with the Lions.
So yeah, a little bit of interesting news coming out of the West this week. The Lions have actually become the first CFL team to hire a full-time female coach. They've added Tanya Walter to their staff. She's a former linebacker. And she was named a defensive assistant coach for the BC Lions to become the first full-time coach in CFL history. So that's absolutely fantastic. Obviously, this is definitely a groundbreaking job. She was actually playing football in 2013 with the Edmonton Storm of the Western Women's Canadian Football League. So it's pretty awesome to hear.
Absolutely. More news at BC Lions, American defensive back.
Yeah, so there's a couple of signings right there. They signed Woody Barron and Ivan McLennan on Monday. So unfortunately, we missed that. It broke after we actually went live. Now, Barron has actually spent his last 3 seasons with the Alouettes. He's been in 50 regular season games with 71 tackles and 11 sacks. And McLennan is actually returning to the Lions after registering 16 tackles and 2 sacks in 18 regular season games with the club in 2018. He also spent a bit of time in Montreal in 2017 and Calgary in 2019.
Absolutely. And let's see now, Winnipeg.
Right. Dietrich Nichols is back on a 1-year extension, so that's good news for them. They're trying to keep their defensive core together as much as they possibly can. So he's now under contract with Winnipeg through the 2023 season.
And then there's, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Oh, that was Dietrich. Sorry, I just mentioned that one.
Okay, then we'll go about the new Argos receiver, Brandon Banks.
This is what I'm actually really excited about, man. This dude is they signed this guy who's 5'7", I think, and 150 pounds, soaking wet with a pocket full of change, which is kind of awesome. It's one of the few football players I'm going to be bigger than.
Yeah, I was just trying to correct the post, not correct, but add to the post of this show, because we're going to have a half hour of a special CFL talk where we actually will be playing the press conference that Brandon Banks gave with the Toronto Argonauts, his first opportunity to answer questions as a Toronto Argonaut. So that'll be a lot of fun. I know it'll be a lot of fun, that's for sure.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, he's had a fantastic career so far. As it
Great to have him on our side.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Right?
The only thing that he's missing right now is a Grey
say?
Cup. Yeah, the only thing that he's missing right now is a Grey Cup, and he probably has a better chance of winning that with the Argos than he does with the Ticats.
Ouch. Oh, my goodness. Well, he's had a couple of chances, I think, 3 or 4 with Hamilton?
Yeah, in 2014, he had the chance, as well as most recently. So
let's talk about Montreal. They're hosting St. Louis, and they traded away to Foley. And Calgary is where he landed. The new favorite to win the Cup in Canada. I think they've just passed Toronto.
Well, the good news is that they didn't trade Toffoli to an intra-divisional rival. The bad news is he's gone to a conference rival who most likely will end up in the playoffs and going on a bit of a deep run. Now, Montreal's obviously in a bit of a pickle. They've lost 7 in a row at home. They're currently sitting at 5-17-1 at home. St. Louis is on a bit of a push right now. They're actually 28-14-5 and fourth in their division. So this could be an interesting game because they're 10-8-3 on the road.
Let's also mention that Calgary is still circling the wagons around Montreal. They're trying to pry Ben Sherratt off them as well. So if the Leafs meet Calgary in the Stanley Cup final,
I don't know. I mean, the Flames have been on a bit of a heater. They just hung a 6-2 loss on the Columbus Blue Jackets. So
they're a playoff team. They are mean. And any team that has Lucic on it is mean to begin with, but they've got a lot of mean toughness back on the defense and more, at forward. They're the team to beat as far as Canadian teams are concerned, in my mind.
Yeah, they are, and adding a weapon like Toffoli as they have just makes them that much more of a problem to deal with.
Ottawa Senators lose Matt Murray in 5-2 loss to St. Louis. We're talking about St. Louis again.
Yeah, they're doing that. They're doing that tour of Canada, but yeah, this was a tough one. It's they lost 5-2, but everybody got a chance to see a little bit of the kind of hockey that Ottawa's aspiring to play. It's very exciting to watch. They move the puck well. They get decent opportunities. Like I said, the only issue that we've got here is now Murray's out for a while. They didn't specify exactly what on the articles that I've seen so far, but I expect to have an update probably tomorrow, and we'll have a little bit more information.
This is a goaltender who has lost his mojo from the moment he came to Ottawa and has not been able to find it. The Blackhawks beat the Jets on a goal by DeBrincat, his 28th goal of the season.
Yeah, Alex DeBrincat is a guy that could have come to the Leafs but didn't. So now he's tearing things up with Chicago, and I tell you, Winnipeg is just not having a good time of it. It's either feast or famine for them, and they're only going to go as far as Hellebuck takes them.
I'm worried this is going to be a team that's going to end up being that's going to have players. They're going to be sellers.
And really, realistically, with the talent they have and the depth that they have at center, they shouldn't be sellers at all at the deadline. They should be buyers.
They got to make the playoffs first, Aaron.
Yeah, I know. There's always that proviso, right?
It's all good about thinking you can make it through the playoffs because you got a good playoff team. There's only one hitch. You got to make the playoffs. Skinner's for a shutout leads. Oilers passed the Sharks 3-0.
Now, this is a bit of an interesting development here. I know the Oilers recently got rid of a coach. So the fact that they've now brought in their affiliate coach Woodcroft, they're off to a decent start. Not only did Skinner make 20 saves against the San Jose Sharks to win 3-0, but they followed that up the next night with a 5-2 win over the Kings. So right now, Woodcroft is looking pretty perfect.
Absolutely, and of course, they had the big opening ceremony there. The award for now I forgot his name.
Doughty?
Yeah.
That guy?
Canadian great player. Yeah, he had an incredible speech before the game. I don't know if you heard it.
No, unfortunately,
he made a reference to the last thing he said was, "I know all you guys there in the Oilers bench are getting tired of watching this. It'll be over soon, and we'll get to play." Jeez, that's something that he would say, right? That's something.
He knows the temperature of the room.
He does. The Canucks, they're on a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, Vancouver is definitely in tough right now. They've had a bit of a rough go. I mean, the good news is that they're actually going to have a chance to take on the Sharks, who are doing almost as badly as they are. They're actually both boasting almost identical records. Vancouver's 22-21-6, and the Sharks are 22-21-4. So Vancouver's 6th, and San Jose is 7th. So they'll be going Thursday night at 10:30 for anybody who's up late enough to catch the game.
Okay, as you know, we cover the Leafs. We cover them like a blanket. Did you see who they picked up off the wire today?
I'm actually very relieved to see that he's actually coming back. I
Well,
know that
you're
he
a
was a.
Marley fan, and
I was going
Adam
to
Brooks
say
had some of his best seasons as a Marley.
he was a fan favorite when he was with the Marlies, and he's a decent option at fourth line center. So I'm glad to see that he's finally come back into the fold. So
He's an offensive threat, and I wonder because his offense is really good. He's not sticking anywhere, so that kind of tells you that if his offense is good, something's missing, and what could that possibly be?
well, I mean, there are shades of defensive issues in his game, and I mean, everybody's got their bugaboos and their holes in their game. It's something for him to work on. Realistically, he's not going to be starting with the Maple Leafs just due to cap issues. In order to actually bring him up with the Leafs, we would have to get rid of someone. All of this points to indications that it's very likely that Nick Ritchie could potentially be moved by the deadline. He was practicing with the Marlies in a gray sweater today, which means that he's being held out of the lineup. So it could potentially point to a trade for him so that they can get Brooks into the lineup.
Yeah, goodness knows. Maybe they'll try and put him back on the wire. I don't know. Will that mean that he'll make it? So the Leafs go on a 3-game road trip. They lose in the 2 Canadian cities, Calgary and Vancouver, and then the new team they play against and win. They looked really good against Seattle. Actually, if one didn't look at the scoreboard and only watched the game and didn't see what happened to the pucks that were shot on goal, and the video stopped at the point they were shooting, you would have thought the Leafs won all 3 games.
I mean, let's be honest here. They lit up their opposition. They peppered the goalies. Unfortunately, peppering is not quite the same as putting it through. So
Yeah, the margin of play, they were an A. Finish, an F.
yeah,
And
I mean,
that's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
as I said, there's a website out there that has what's called a deserve to win -meter.
Oh,
Before
jeez.
every game, they take all the statistics for the relevant teams and run a game simulation 1,000 times, and that gives you the game the deserve to win -meter. So far, the Leafs have been on the right side of it for almost the entire season, and their record actually reflects that. I mean, where they're currently sitting in the standings and their records shows that they are roughly with where the deserve to win -meter says they should be.
Well, they've been superior in most of their games. The result has been the result of being superior. They've had games where you and I could say, they were lucky to win, whether it's because of goaltending or opportunistic scoring, magical comebacks, all that wonderful stuff. They've done a lot of good things. But the one thing that keeps rubbing me the wrong way, if for a Leaf fan, is the physicality that they don't have that is conducive to a long run in the playoffs. I have deep concerns about that, especially when we talk about who they're thinking of getting rid of. The whole point of having him, right? Instead of him wearing a gray sweater, the whole point of was to have him on the ice to be a bit of a deterrent to some abuse that the Leaf players seem to take in the playoffs. And or here's the statement I'm going to make. You know that statement where they say you got a player on your team and the rest of the team plays a couple of inches taller? That's what's missing with the Leafs. They
Yeah.
need somebody that helps them play 2 inches taller.
No, I mean there's no denying that you did get certain players for those extra qualities. And the fact that those players aren't currently up with the team is indicative of other more deep-seated issues that perhaps that ineffable quality that those players are supposed to bring is getting overridden by their other deficiencies.
Yeah, well,
So
Simmons is supposed to be that guy. He tries becoming a cop for the team, which is fine. But it's just I just don't see a kind of player like a Lucic, a player that his presence alone, uh, you know, keeps other teams honest, if you will, because we saw some real dishonesty in the first games that the Leafs played, in Calgary and then Vancouver, where taking shots at players without any, you know, response, and not that I'm asking Leaf players to fight. What I am asking is that there's a physicality that a team has to present in the playoffs. That if they don't present it, it gets presented on them. So you and I both know there's going to be heavy hitting, there's going to be cheap shots, there's going to be all that lovely stuff, and playing within that framework for some Leaf players is difficult. That is a big problem with Marner and Nylander. They're not 100% great in the physical kind of play. They need somebody, and they were hoping they had the guy that would help him play a little taller so people didn't take cheap shots at them. It's not Marner's fault. It's not Nylander's fault. It's that they do not have the physical acumen that the playoffs requires of most players.
Look, we're not looking for a Tim McCracken.
No.
We're not looking for
No.
a Billy Williamson.
No.
We're not looking for an Ogie Oglethorpe. We're just
No.
looking for somebody to play like Dave Killer Carlson every once in a while and mix it up and be physical. That's really it.
Well, it's all about deterrent, right? It's all about deterrent. But here's what I want to say here. They have the greatest deterrent that any team could ask for when it comes to, stopping teams from being overly aggressive, and that's a decent power play. And that works great in the regular season. The problem is in the playoffs, a lot of the penalties that used to be called in the regular season don't get called in the playoffs, and those are the ones that require the little bit of accountability, right? That's the issue for me. It's as simple as that. It's not very good. That's the way I see it anyway. So the Canadian teams, we're up to 2 teams that are looking like they're a pretty good lock into the playoffs. We've got a couple others that are thinking about it. We'll find out. Vancouver's definitely out, as we know. Ottawa, Montreal in the Eastern Division. Winnipeg is a long shot at this point, and Edmonton has a shot, but it's going to take. They're going to need some help, and that is the help is going to be they need to win games that they otherwise wouldn't. That's where they're at right now. They got to get on a run.
No, they really do. I mean, Edmonton's currently sitting with 55 points. Calgary actually has 60, so they're first in the Pacific. The people that are sitting in the wild card right now are Nashville and Los Angeles, so they're nipping right at the heels. Colorado is basically running away with the Western Conference, in the same fashion that Pittsburgh and Tampa, both with 70 points, are currently kind of leading the East. Florida's been the dark horse in all of this. They're sitting at 69 points, and the Leafs are back there with 65. So, a lot of it, unfortunately, like you said, for Ottawa, God, they're so much fun to watch. For Ottawa and Montreal, there's no way that they're making it.
It's about next year.
Yeah, it is.
Even their coach hiring, even Montreal's coach hiring, they hired a coach who has no NHL experience, has Pee Wee experience. There's a jump, a leap. And they're just giving him a half a season to figure things out, right? To see if he can be their coach next year. And I tell you this, even if he isn't the coach of the Montreal Canadiens when the next season comes in, he's going to have a position in that organization that is very close. And I'm going to make a comparison here, folks. For those of you that are CFL fans and Toronto Argonaut fans in particular, he's going to be the Pinball Clemens of the Montreal Canadiens. That's what I see him being if he can't be the coach. And then again, Pinball was the coach of the Toronto Argonauts and became the Pinball Clemens we know. And I think the same is true in Montreal.
Well, I definitely think you're not wrong on that for St. Louis. And again, it's the name cachet that's going to bring people back and re-inspire folks to believe in the franchise again.
And his happy demeanor, right?
Yeah. And he's just happy to be there. I think that's the best part of all. He actually wants to be in Montreal.
Yeah, a Quebecer that is proud to be a part of it, the team in Quebec, and that's something that no one should be shy of being happy or proud about. So Canada won gold. Hamlin's the guy's name.
Yeah, so he's actually now set a record, which is awesome. Men's short track speed skating, 5,000 meter relay in Beijing. He actually wins that one now. So that's Hamelin, Pascal Dion, Stephen Dubois, Jordan Pierre-Gilles, and Maxime Laon finished ahead of the Republic of Korea and Italy. So that's awesome. He made history in his final career Olympic race, winning his 6th medal to tie Cindy Klassen's record as the most decorated Winter Olympian in Canadian history. He just turned 37 too, so that's awesome.
We won't be seeing a gold medal match or even a bronze medal match between Canada and the U.S. U.S. lost to Slovakia. Canada lost to Sweden. I'm okay with the loss for Canada, but that one's got to hurt the U.S. I mean, Sweden, even with all the Canadian players there, Canada has a hard time with Sweden.
Oh, we always do. And
right?
I'm actually I kind of feel sorry for Team USA, but kind of not, because they got eliminated in a shootout again for the 2nd Olympics in a row. But
9 rounds, Aaron, 9 rounds.
But this time, the other part of that particular nation beat them. Last year it was the Czech Republic. Last Olympics, sorry, it was the Czech Republic. This year it's Slovakia. So,
And in case you folks are not old enough to remember, they used to be one country, Czechoslovakia.
exactly.
So I said the Canadian men's team lost to Sweden. I got to be honest with you, Aaron. I just can't get into the Olympics this time.
No,
I don't know
what
if
seems to be
I
what's
don't
holding
know.
you back?
It just, I don't know. I think it has to do with, I think it has to do with China. I just, you know, um, I don't know. It just doesn't feel as celebratory as it's been in the past. Is it because, the favorite sport here is hockey, right? And that's what I look forward to in the Olympics. And they don't have the team there. The best Canadian players aren't playing there. The best Americans aren't playing there.
Hmm.
Some of these stories they kind of bother me. They sit in the pit of my stomach. Like what happens with the Russian skater, 15, because she's 15. And because she of that age, they can't kick her out or they can't eliminate her in any fashion. So there's no medals being handed out. The speed skating. I try getting into the Olympics, and I see stuff, and I see penalties, and it almost seems as though penalties are benefiting one group. It just doesn't. Right from the beginning, it just hasn't, in my mind, had the societal elitism that I've grown to learn when it comes to the Olympics. It really stopped being what I think is the reason why I held it up to high esteem. Is that
Hmm.
it was a place where we would go watch sports and celebrate sport in its most purest form, as you know, because you're a person in this that doesn't like the pros that are in the Olympics. It just, the disappointment with Canada's curling team. And then there's been a lot of great things. The speed skating's awesome, all that stuff, but it's trying to make up for all the stuff that I think has been kind of a bit of a downer. So I don't know. Maybe it's just this winter, the pandemic. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to it doesn't excite me as much as it has in the past.
I mean, what with all the stops and starts, I can understand that. And it's been difficult for me to get into it too, mainly because most of the marquee events that I'd like to watch are either at 7 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah, yeah,
that to
yeah,
me
yeah.
is just a no fly thing because we all need our rest, and it's been difficult to work around. But you also look at the larger cultural implications of this, and you look at the social and political unrest that's currently in Hong Kong. China's current relationship with Nepal, Taiwan, the issue with the Uyghurs
Yeah.
in the Hangzhou province. All of this adds up to make it something less than what
Yeah.
we ideally would like it to be.
I think I got how it for me, rather than allow me to forget about all that crap that's going on around us. There's a, there's an there's a there's an ingrained in the Olympics that stuff is ingrained into the Olympics because China's the host, because we see Russia can't even put their flag up, because they cheated. Then there's more cheating, and it used to be the Olympics for me, and I guess because I'm too old, the Olympics for me was before there were professionals in it. Uh, it used to be athletes that were doing it without a doubt for the love of the game or a spot on a Wheaties box.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of it seems greatly more commercialized these days, and I
Totally.
guess it's just because it costs more. You look at some of the spiraling costs of these Olympics and the fact that it's going into the billions of dollars, whereas places with already established venues are being overlooked because they're too old or they're not quite as shiny and new as you would expect
Yeah.
them to be.
Yeah.
I was actually way more excited for the Olympics in Sydney than I
Yes.
was for the Olympics in China, just north of it. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. There have been lots of Olympics. It's just it seems everything's getting political, right? And that's sad, and we do a lot of political commentary, but more as observers. We're not looking to promote anything, and sometimes even you and I, get tired of some stuff. It just gets the load gets too heavy. But on the positive side, and then of course there's the bobsledder that defected from Canada. All these news stories are attached. There's politics attached to it. There's but attached to it. This is a great event. But by the way, so there are a lot of great things happening. Our speed skating, we have a speed skater that has raised the level of his. He's won 4 gold medals, right? And he's won the most of any Canadian man, equal to a couple of women who've had a lot of gold medals. Speak to the positive, Aaron. I think I've been negative enough as far as the Olympics is concerned. We've done pretty good, and please tell us about it.
Hey, you know what? Honestly, Canada's been climbing up in the medal standings. Max Perot actually won himself a bronze medal in the big air competition.
Yep.
So that's absolutely fantastic. We did actually have an opportunity to do slightly better in slopestyle ski, but unfortunately, weren't quite up to snuff. But the good news is that on the whole, we have been doing as well as the last Winter Olympics. So we're not behind in that regard. There are still a few major events coming up for us, so I'm very happy to see how we're going to be doing in those. Yeah, overall, honestly, going in without a mandate to win a certain number of medals, I think has taken a great deal of pressure off Canadian athletes, and I'm relieved for that, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah, I think it worked when they did it. It's not something. It's like you can't repeat the same motivational speech in the locker room, right? You got to try something different, right? The same speech isn't always going to work.
No, on the podium only works once.
Yeah. So, what's this about a sports prison? Canadian snowboarder?
Oh yeah, no, this is in reference to the conditions and everything like that. Now, there are tight measures that govern athletes' movements. It was clear coming into this that even more restrictive procedures were going to be set up in the COVID-19 in the village this year to keep COVID-19 out of Beijing's Olympic Village. Mark McMorris, the snowboarder, was saying, it's kind of like a sports prison. You're just chilling. You don't do anything. I mean, it isn't that bad. You get to get lots of rest and you get to hang out with your buddies who are there. So there's that, but it's not like you're just going out on the town and hanging out. And I can't speak to this personally. I really don't know what sort of hanging out there is to be done in Beijing. I'm just not that up on the nightlife out there. So, I mean, maybe it's for the best.
So over many years, an Arizona priest has been doing baptisms, and one word was wrong. So none of the doesn't the intent mean anything?
Apparently not according to the church. Yeah.
The Pope will step in on that one.
The Catholic Diocese of Phoenix announced on its website that Reverend Andres Arango had been using the wrong word in baptisms performed up until June 17th, 2021. During baptisms in both English and Spanish, Arango had used the phrase, "We baptize you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit," instead of "I baptize." The church's contention is that it's not the community or the we that baptizes a person and incorporates them into the Church of Christ. Rather, there is Christ and Christ alone who presides at all sacraments. Therefore, it is Christ who baptizes it.
So they don't say Christ, they say I.
They say I because the priest is acting as the vessel for the communications of God.
Okay.
So he's been doing it wrong apparently since 1995.
Well, once you're on a roll.
Hey, got to keep going, right?
Absolutely. And on real good, I guess this is good news because this was a major concern. A stolen truck trailer carrying thousands of guns has been recovered. I hope they recovered all the guns, Aaron.
They are the OPP, Peterborough Police, and Savage Firearms, which is the company in Peterborough that had their truck stolen, are currently doing an inventory. They do believe that all of the weapons are there. Now, there were some outlandish theories as to who actually stole the trailer full of guns. But there were several videos that were put out preemptively by individuals in the trucker convoy claiming that, hey, it wasn't us. So, if you do find guns on us, hey, they were planted. Yeah, it does look like the trailer full was recovered, and it does appear that most of the weapons are there.
Excellent. All right. We'll move on to the next part of the program, and it will be a special CFL talk. I had a few messages from people asking when's the Brandon Banks press conference going to happen? Are you going to do anything? So we decided to record it. We did. And we're going to be playing it as soon as Eduardo tees it up, which I assume he's doing.
Okay, everyone, thanks for joining us today. We've got another special guest. 2019 Most Outstanding Player, 6-time East All-Star, 4-time CFL All-Star, 2015 Most Outstanding Special Teams Player. Got Brandon Banks in the house today. I'll throw it over to him to say a few words, and we'll get right into questions. Brandon, go ahead.
First of all, I was like, thanks for you guys having me. Thanks for the Toronto organized organization, especially Pinball. Talked to him over his last couple of weeks and had some great conversations. Also would like to thank Ticats for everything they did for me in the last 8 years. Been a heck of a ride, but start a new chapter and time to move on.
Appreciate you, Brandon. We'll go right to Frank Ciccarelli, Toronto Sun.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Thanks for your time, Brandon. Hey, Brandon, when did it hit you that you're at Argo?
To be honest, it really still haven't hit me. It ain't gonna hit me till like I actually walk in the building. But when I actually, signed the dotted line, it actually hit me like, man, I'm getting ready to go play for another team, and it is what it is, and I'm ready for the change.
Hey, Brandon, I met you years ago. I know you're a big Hoops fan. Do you plan on playing one-on-one with Fred VanVleet at Scotiabank Arena one day?
So I hope I get the opportunity so I can show my skills off. I can hoop a little bit.
Thanks, Brandon. All the best to you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Zick. We'll go next to Dan Ralph, Canadian Press.
Good afternoon, Brandon. Is it a little surreal that of all the teams that you could re-sign with, it's this one?
I get why people say that, because obviously the rivalry between Hamilton, but obviously, you got to look at it. It ain't but 9 teams in the CFL. It's not too many other places you can go. And then obviously I'm familiar with the area, the Ontario area. I'm all about being comfortable, and the situation was right. Talked to a lot of other coaches, but just the situation was right. And then, like I said, gaining the relationship with Pinball, getting a little closer with him and talking to him, I just felt more a smooth transition for me.
And if I may follow up, I'm wondering if there's anything in your mind that you have to prove to anybody in 2022.
I wouldn't really say I have to prove anything to anybody, but I'm just trying to go out there and win a championship for myself and obviously for the Toronto organization now. Obviously, I do want to prove people that I can still play, but I don't have no doubt about it. I still can play. But obviously I'm gonna have doubters out there, but that's okay. I always had doubters out there. It is what it is. I'm still go out there, continue to be me, and hopefully stay healthy so I can show y'all that I can still be Speedy B.
Thank you.
Next up, Steve Milton, Hamilton Spectator.
Hi, Brandon. How are you?
What's good, Steve?
How are you, man? Look, this is going to be weird for all of us in Hamilton. I wonder how much you understand that, and I'm sure people have talked to you about it. And is there any bitterness there that they didn't sign you?
No, not at all. Like I said, since the Grey Cup was over, I pretty much knew what was up. I'm a smart guy. It was pretty much written in the books. So I wanted everything to be smooth. Nothing, no harsh feelings against the organization, man. They went well above and beyond for me, and it helped me grow as a person, helped me grow as a player, a CFL player. Made Hamilton like my second home, made everything comfortable for me. So I have utmost respect for that organization. But like everything, a lot of things come to an end. And it was just time to move on, and that's just what it is.
It's quite a ways yet. It's going to be a few months before you actually have to come into this town here, Hamilton meaning. Do you have any plans for how you sort of flush that out, or do you think by then you'll sort of be enough of an Argo to?
Time heals everything. So I believe by then, everybody be moved on and life goes on. That's just how I look at it, and just let the dust settle itself. I'm just gonna go out there and play ball. Obviously, I got to see them 4 times next year, so it's gonna be a good thing for me and a good thing for them. It's gonna be a fun battle, and hopefully we can bring some more excitement to the BMO field, the atmosphere around there. So I'm excited for the opportunity, and it is what it is.
Great, thanks. Great to see you.
Thank you.
David Morrisudi.
Hey, Brandon. Thanks for doing this. Wanted to get what excites you about this Argos offense, and who are you looking forward to playing with? That being on the other side of it, who do you want to who are you excited to be a teammate with?
To be honest, I'm excited to be a teammate with everybody. Obviously, I want to get good friends with the quarterback, MTB, obviously, right? I think Daniels is a pretty good player, wide receiver. I watch him play. I watch him grow up as a player. Obviously, then we got Andrew Harris coming over there. I'm excited to play with a caliber guy like him. He's a championship winning guy. Also, he got a lot of. He's probably pretty much in the same situation I am. So we got trying to prove little things. But and then I don't know, just pretty much the whole team. I'm ready to play with anybody. I'm just ready to bring my leadership over there and just try to fit in with them guys over there and just try to help as much as I can. And
just my follow-up, what were your conversations like with pinball and with Coach Dinwiddie, and what do you expect from you?
Oh, man, great conversations, especially with pinball. Obviously, over the years, I've built a relationship with pinball from afar, obviously being on the Ticats side. Every time we played Ticats, he always kind of went out his way to speak to me. So that obviously meant a lot to me. We exchanged numbers. And then obviously during the process of signing, he kept it honest and always positive. It's a very, very positive guy. And that's what kind of people I like to be around. And obviously, the type of player he was, I kind of can relate to that and the type of player that I am. So we had some great conversations, and it was just he was just excited to, obviously to have me over there on the Toronto side. And he was excited to have me over there, and I told him how I felt and where I was at in my career and the things I still wanted to do. And we both agreed on some certain things, and obviously we made it happen. Once we made it happen, I definitely got a quick phone call from Coach Dinwiddie, and like he said, he was excited to have me on this side, and excited to work with me. And obviously, he's a offensive mind coach, so I want to be there to help him and make things easy for him.
All right, thank you very much, and welcome to Toronto.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, David. We'll go next to Frank Stanisci, Candid Frank Live.
Hey, Brandon, good to see you.
Hey, thank you. What's up, Frank?
Hey, you know what? You're up. I gotta tell you, I want you to know that I spend a lot of time with a lot of fans around the league because of what I do. And one thing I can tell you wholeheartedly, the majority and probably all that have spoken to me that are Ticat fans are very happy for you and want you to be happy. Now, they want you to be a success. And having said that, not when you're in Hamilton.
Right.
So we understand that. We understand the rivalry. But here's what's important to me. How important has pinball been? You've had your issues, injury that took you out a lot of games at the beginning of last year. You're a human being, negative stuff can affect you. Mm-hmm. How important is it to be around a guy like pinball who is so positive, a guy who elevates people and makes them feel really good? You've given a little clue of that. But what else do you think that he'll offer you and this city will offer you that Hamilton can't at this time, just because of history?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
It appears we've lost Brandon. We will get him back shortly there, Frank.
I apologize. I hope it wasn't the question.
Here he comes now. Brandon, I'm just going to spotlight you. Here we go. And you're back.
Did you get the question, Brendan?
No, sorry about that. Can you say it again? I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Okay. We understand that, like I said, I have a lot of Ticat friends and they're very positive about you. They want you to be successful. As I said, not against them, but, they want you to be successful. So there's a lot of love in the Canadian Football League. You've talked about, how important pinball has been to you to come here. Can you share, in a way, what kind of support he offers you and that you're grateful for that you can get from him? Specifically, maybe?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. By his positive energy, his everyday energy, and his positive just mind frame helped me out a lot. Obviously, I'm a guy that's learning new things about myself and things I'm going through. So with, like I said, pinball, with the conversation and having him on the phone, he sounds like such a powerful guy. Like you said, he's always positive. So with me being around there, it's definitely gonna bring me good energy at work every day. Going out there ready to play some good football and I think when you feeling that way, it definitely transfers to the field. So obviously, I'm trying to put good footage on the field, and I'm trying to help the team win a Grey Cup. That's all I'm really focused on right now, is just winning the Grey Cup. And obviously, that's with Toronto now. So I want to help them guys win a Grey Cup.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the grind that you've been through, that life has to offer. I'm very proud of that. Let's talk about your football with Toronto. The coach said we have a vertical threat. How important is it for you to get the ball downfield and make players miss?
Obviously, that's very, very important for me. Obviously, the stature and the type of guy that I am. Obviously, I'm not so big, so obviously, I'm trying to get away from defenders and obviously make guys miss and try to take as less hits as I can. Obviously, I'm a guy that's been battling some injuries over the last two years, so I'm just trying to stay healthy. And like I said, this offseason, I'm just trying to get my body stronger. I'm definitely taking a different approach to the weightlifting. Get myself stronger, and like Coach Dinwiddie expressed to me, he wanted me to be a vertical threat. So I'm definitely trying to get my lower body strength back to where I know I can be, and trying to be the same speedy B that I'm capable of being.
For those that don't know what a vertical threat is, it's running downfield, straight downfield, and ending up in the end zone. Thanks for this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Frank. A couple more. JC Abbott, 3 Down Nation.
Hey, Brandon, you said back in December that Hamilton was the place you wanted to end your career, and you'd be willing to take less money to stay there. Is this a situation of that figure simply being too low for you, or was there not a figure that Hamilton was willing to accept for you to stay in the city?
I just prefer not to discuss that part. It was just a mutual agreement. They were just trying to go younger. The organization got some young, good, talented wide receivers that's playing some good football. And to be honest, I didn't want to be the veteran to hold up the organization because they're trying to be nice to me and things like that. It was just a mutual agreement. We just mutually agreed to move on and move separate ways. That's pretty much what it was. At the end of the day, I don't think it came down to money. It was just they just trying to go younger, and they got some good young players there, and I agree with them.
You mentioned earlier you could sort of see the writing on the wall, as it were, that this was coming. When did you first realize that, and what was it that made you realize that it was probably coming to an end in Hamilton?
To be honest, I really don't want to discuss what really happened. But you could tell. I mean, obviously, like I said, they got some good young receivers, and they're pretty much doing well. And obviously, the cheaper the better, right? So, but it is what it is. I talked to Coach. I just text Coach Joe during the Super Bowl. I mean, it's no hard feelings. Like I said, we mutually agreed. And but like I said, I definitely knew right after Grey Cup what was up.
All right, thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, JC. We'll go final question here. Dan Ralph, Canadian Press.
Yeah, Brandon, I'm wondering, we all know what you can do on the field as a receiver. Would you be willing to return punts and return kicks?
Yes, that's one thing I definitely expressed when I was pretty much shopping myself. I'm letting people know that I still want a punt return. I think I still can punt return. Like I said, this offseason, I'm approaching this different than I usually have. Like I said, I'm getting older, so I'm definitely trying to put a little bit more weight on me. I'm getting stronger. So obviously, I think I can go back to punt returning. I definitely expressed that to Pinball, and he told me, opportunity is there if it presents itself in training camp. I'm not trying to take nobody's position. I think they got a good guy there now already. But if they need me to do, I'm willing to do whatever they need.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And that is it. Brandon, thanks so much for taking the time today to speak with everyone. And
Thank you.
I hope everyone has a wonderful day. We'll see everyone soon. Take care.
Thanks, sweetie. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thanks, Brandon.
Well, there you have it. Brandon Banks leaves the Hamilton Tiger Cats, officially joins the Toronto Argonauts. And first to you, Aaron. You may not be as deep into what's going on with the Toronto Argos as much as David, but you do have a view. And from your perspective, how you see the team and how you, as a fan of the team, feel about this move by the Toronto Argonauts after the one for Harris.
Yep.
You're.
Yeah, I know. Looking at what we've got here, I'm actually glad that we picked up Harris, and I'm glad that we've picked up Banks. This now gives us a bit of a 1-2 punch. Yeah, I know that he did actually do some punt and kick returning while he was playing with the Washington football team in the early 2010s. So it's not something that he's unused to doing. We can certainly use him, and I think he gives us a little bit more of that je ne sais quoi that I think we kind of need to get us over the top. You pair him up with MBT's passing, and I think you've got a very decent pairing going. I was concerned that he was going to follow Masoli to the Red Blacks, which is just another headache that we don't need. But I'm glad he's on our side.
David, you've had a few days to think about that press conference. Let what Brandon Banks said ring in your ear. The biggest thing I'll say is that he was not really happy about leaving the Tiger Cats. That wasn't something he wanted to do, but quite frankly, he felt he wasn't wanted anymore, and he understood why, and he wasn't going to fight to stay there.
Yeah, I know. I think that was really the big one for me, was him saying, he was willing to take less, but it was clear that they had other ideas. Like I wouldn't say they rid him off, but it just seems like they already had their mind made up that they were moving on from him during the season. I think he kind of understood that too, which it's unfortunate, but yeah, when we saw the news that they pretty much had said you're free to sign wherever you want, it wasn't surprising, but at the same time, it's still tough for especially Hamilton fans. I can totally sympathize, how they probably feel about this, especially because of how it's all played out since then.
You know what, David? We've talked about this the past few weeks on our CFL show, and the fact that there's a lot of changing of teams by players rather quickly. The CFL is a mix master. There is no continuity. We talk about it with Winnipeg and Calgary, those teams, but even they make a lot of changes. Well, Calgary more, of course, than Winnipeg. And we just saw a great example of two players who happen to come to Toronto that are the definition of how the CFL works today. And I'm not saying, oh no, there's no loyalty to the players. I'm just saying that there's no loyalty to the players. I mean, it just is there. They haven't, either of them have shown some weakness as far as health is concerned. Both equally have had problems physically. But I don't know if it's enough in the old days to turn on a guy to just say, okay, forget it, we're done. But I think that's the cap talking more than the team.
I think so. I think, also the idea of what is needed in today's CFL too, right? He said it right there. They wanted to go cheaper at the wide receiver position. We've seen teams do both extremes, try to go with the unproven, cheaper talent, cheaper meaning that they're on rookie salaries, versus some teams are like, we know this guy can dominate in the CFL. He knows the CFL game. Let's give him now a record 300,000 for a receiver. And then you get the ones that are kind of caught in the limbo where they want to get paid, but they're not looking to make, they just want to make enough to justify what they think is fair in Brandon Banks' case. But he's kind of stuck in the limbo of he's not good enough to, unfortunately, to make top tier money. And maybe that's something he didn't capitalize on back when he was at that point because he wanted to stay in Hamilton, wanted to help Hamilton win a championship. And so I think I wouldn't say animosity, but that feeling of, you did what you could to try to stay, but they didn't want you. It plays well to a player that's willing to use it in the right way.
Yeah, Aaron, as a fan, you look for reasons to be excited about your team. You look for reasons to believe that your team can actually do something. I've asked David this question on our show. I'll ask it of you now. When was the last time that you remember that the Argos go into a season where they legitimately, not we're hoping, not we're guessing, where the greatness of the Toronto Argonauts was a surprise, not a plan. You know what I mean? Like at the beginning, going to training camp, for example, as a favorite. When was the last time you remember that?
I'll be honest with you. I've been a season ticket holder for a while. I've been a fan for decades. I honestly can't remember the last time something like that actually happened. So I'm really actually looking forward to this season.
And it feels like it this time, doesn't it? When
it
like
really
if those
does.
two guys are healthy, it doesn't matter how bad people think MBT is. If those two guys are healthy, if MBT has blood coursing through his veins, he should be able to have a really good year if those two guys are healthy.
Well, you've known me for a while, Frank. You know I get overly optimistic over the
Absolutely.
smallest things.
Absolutely.
In this particular case here, my optimism, I believe, is fully justified. I think we're going to have a whale of a season. So,
And my optimism, David, is displayed by the question, right? That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this is the first time an Argo team goes into the season where there's expectations that they'll win. That isn't something that happens with Argo fans, which to me says, and Aaron and both you, we got a couple 2 minutes left, so you get a minute each. Will it help ticket sales? Because that's ultimately one of the main things that the Argos have to worry about, and that is the presentation and how it's received.
I mean, I know I don't have a lot of experience on the fan side and what's keeping fans away and all those things, but if you're a CFL fan in Toronto that's been bullish on buying tickets for the Argos, I don't know what much more in terms of what this front office is doing in roster construction. Only maybe the quarterback position. That's maybe the only one that fans seem to always complain about. Other than that, they've improved in the areas that have been the weak point of this team, especially from last year. They found ways to improve. So if you're an Argos fan in Toronto, I don't know if you can justify saying, I don't know if I want, like, if the team's going to be good enough. Well, I think the team is on paper is good enough. I just don't know what else really can be done to, at this point, for management to convince fans to come.
Aaron?
I think there's a stigma that's surrounded with the CFL. And I think it has everything to do with the fact that the perception that the CFL is a second tier league. Ever since Rogers had been trying to bring an NFL team here, everybody has started to look down on the Argonauts. And that's been something that's been happening for at least the last 3 decades. Ever since Skydome got built, this has been a recurring issue. This is the first time I'm looking at the roster right now, and this team looks like a wagon. And I absolutely cannot wait for them to take the field. I'm going to be sitting in my seats come opening day, beers in hand, watching the pyro go off and just anticipating the heck out of this season because it looks absolutely fantastic. If fans can't get geared up for this, and we've got a fantastic lineup this year, I really seriously worry about the state of Canadian football because short of papering the house, there's nothing else that they can do. I got 9 games last year for $200. You cannot complain about that ticket price. That is absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, CFL fans got to get off their butts and got to get out there and do this, man. It's going to be great. I cannot wait.
Well, the profile is high of these players. It's something that this team finally has. And I'll say this about the quarterback situation. Without replacing the quarterback or improving themselves at the quarterback position, they brought in 2 players that will help the quarterback. And I think that's the most important thing is how the team plays. And it's going to be very entertaining for Argo fans to have a look at Brandon Banks, not as someone they fear, but someone they support. It's going to be an interesting experience. Gentlemen, thank you for doing this. Aaron, David.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Well, for David Morisuti and, of course, Aaron William Freeland, I'm Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching CFL Talk Special. Aaron live on Mondays. And, of course, this was also Candid Frank Live. Aaron on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays at 6. Thanks for watching, everybody. For more programs like this, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time.